Good morning. Aboubakar is going to share with you his story through movement and dance, a language that is truly universal and needs no translation. And I'd like to challenge us to imagine that we are Aboubakar, or more fondly known as Abouba. So that means we're 14 years old today, and we're wandering the streets of Kigali, Rwanda. And we're trying to find something to eat. We're gonna do whatever we have to do today to survive. And we hope that maybe we'll find something a little bit extra so we can go home and visit our mom and our siblings and share it with them. Because as a 14-year-old boy, the oldest male in the family, it's our responsibility to provide, and it's hard to go home if we have nothing to share. And this was our life today and our life yesterday, and I don't know that we can really think about tomorrow. It's just about today. But your friends tell you that there's this organization called MindLeaps, where kids go and take dance classes. Well, you love to dance and you wouldn't mind a break from trying to just survive every day. So you go find MindLeaps in Kigali and you knock on the door, and a Rwandan dance teacher opens the door and says, "Sorry, classes are full, come back next year." But next year doesn't mean anything to you. So you come back next week, classes are still full. You come back next week, classes are still full, next week, next week, next week, next week. After 10 months, classes are no longer full, and in you go, you start your MindLeaps program. And what do there? They ask you to memorize like long sequences of information, all this movement, like the dance you're going to see. Sometimes you have to work with somebody and create some movement and present it to others. If you don't come on time, you're not allowed to take class. And even though the stuff they ask you to do is kind of difficult, you keep trying, because then you get better at it, and then you can do it. And it feels good when you can do it, when you got better at something. Like now, today kind of feels different than yesterday. So over time, you end up developing all of these skills, like memorization, grit, teamwork, responsibility, creativity, self-esteem, language skills. So what could tomorrow be if this is now today? So you go back to these MindLeaps teachers and you say, "I hear kids go to school here too. Can I go to school?" And a few weeks later, you're going to school. And then 1 year later, somebody comes to you and says, "Here's a scholarship to go to America and study classical ballet." And a few months later, you're on a plane flying to Seattle, Washington to start classes at Pacific Northwest Ballet School. Now today is definitely different than yesterday. Abouba's going to share with you his dance that's called Bonds of Poverty, and how he fought against hunger, trying to find a home for his family, a lack of education, to break his cycle of poverty. But this became possible for him, not because he's a good dancer, but because something changed in his mind so he could actually think of tomorrow and not just be focused on today. And the next time Abouba performs this dance, we won't be challenging the audience to imagine that they are Abouba, because he will be performing it for people who are Abouba. He will be presenting it at Mahama refugee camp, where there's 60,000 Burundian refugees living in Rwanda who are trying to struggle today to survive and wondering if tomorrow exists. And Abouba will use his voice to inspire them to think differently, to change their mindset, and break their own cycle of poverty. Thank you. Abouba, please share with us your dance.